now related to another matter. More than 5 years ago, India's capital had been rocked by riots over the CAA, which is the Citizenship Amendment Act, and the NRC. Now, over 50 people lost their lives back then. Over 500 people got injured. Hundreds of police personnel who were doing their duty also suffered injuries. In fact, one of them, Constable Ratan Lal, even lost his life. 5 years from that deadly wave of violence, the alleged conspirators continue to remain behind bars. Now, the Delhi High Court yesterday rejected the bail plea of Umar Khalid, Sharjeel Imam, as well as 7 others in the larger conspiracy case around the Delhi riots. Now, the court made prima facie observations on multiple counts, which is that the duo of Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam, according to the court, based on submissions made by the prosecution in this case, which called them the architects behind the conspiracy. Now, we've, of course, accessed the court order, the 133-page Delhi High Court order, and let's, in fact, take you through some of the stinging observations that have been made by the Delhi High Court in connection with Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam. One of the observations, of course, is again based on the complaint filed by the prosecution in this matter, that they had in fact called for protests and chakka jams. The transcript of the speech made by Sharjeel Imam on more than one occasion has also been made part of that order. The second observation is that they distributed pamphlets in Muslim areas. Now, this was a specific observation that was made in connection with Umar Khalid, based on, of course, allegations made by the prosecution. The third observation is that both Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid were among the architects behind the entire conspiracy. Now, this was also made in the context as to why their case does not achieve parity with some of the others who've been released on bail in this particular matter, because Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam's case was a lot more serious. The fourth observation, evidence against them at this juncture is not weak. This was again in the context of comparisons being made between those who managed to secure bail in the Delhi riots cases versus those who continue to remain behind bars. And the court's observation was that the evidence at this juncture against Umar Khalid and Sharjeel Imam is not weak. The fifth observation, that there is no merit in their plea seeking bail. Now, the court did not go into the merits of the case itself, but it did say that prolonged incarceration alone cannot be a reason for granting bail to an accused, especially in the light of serious charges against them. Now, on the larger issue, that the accused have the right to bail due to delayed trial or the fact that they've suffered prolonged incarceration even before the trial begins, the court observed that this rule is not universally applicable in all cases. It also reminded that the duty of the court is to balance individual rights and the interests of the nation. Now, there's a political slugfest that has broken out since this verdict came. Yesterday, in fact, there were reactions pouring in immediately after the verdict came out, and more so today. A united opposition has now collectively condemned the denial of bail to Umar Khalid, Sharjeel Imam and the others, saying that this amounts to a travesty of justice. The Bharatiya Janata Party says that the opposition and their sympathizers have reposed absolutely no faith even in the courts of law.
गलत है. Bail is a rule, not exception. But यहाँ तो bail deny करने का मतलब रूल के साथ में खिलवाड़ करना, और धर्म के आधार पर ऐसा हो रहा है. और मुझे मालूम है कि कितना दबाव है न्यायपालिका के ऊपर, सरकार का दबाव है.
आज फिर से कांग्रेस और उसके समर्थित इकोसिस्टम को झटका पड़ा है, जब उमर खालिद, शर्जील इमाम सहित कई लोगों की बेल, जो दिल्ली दंगों के मास्टरमाइंड रहे हैं, वो रिजेक्ट की गई है दिल्ली हाईकोर्ट के द्वारा. ये दिखाता है कि ये दंगे जो हुए वो स्पॉन्टेनियस नहीं, वो स्पॉन्सर्ड थे. पर ये इकोसिस्टम, जिसमें तृणमूल कांग्रेस भी है, और हैरानी की बात है कि उद्धव सेना की प्रियंका चतुर्वेदी भी है, वो इन दंगाइयों को कवर फायर देते हैं.
Well, let me go across to my colleague Mohit Bhatt, who's been tracking all these reactions very closely. Mohit, of course, each of those accused now has the right to approach the Supreme Court to seek bail now that the petitions that they filed in the Delhi High Court have been dismissed. But that's not stopped the opposition from casting aspersions on the judiciary, saying that not only is this a travesty of justice, they've in fact also questioned the institution of the courts itself in giving judgments of this nature.
Siddhant, massive politics is being played on this particular issue. Now, what we see is that the opposition parties, Congress, TMC, and Uddhav Sena, and the other parties, they have come out and they have slammed the verdict that has come from the High Court. They say that it's a travesty of justice. 5 years, these people have been in jail without bail, and they have been citing this particular option, this particular suggestion. They basically are saying that why exactly bail is not being given, the trial has not moved forward, and they are raising questions on the judiciary. While BJP, Siddhant, what they are saying is that these were the same people who made inflammatory speeches just before the Delhi riot, and we saw that how many people lost their lives during the violence. Many of them were rendered homeless. Many of them, thousands of them, were affected. So the BJP says is that inflammatory speeches were being made, which are there in the public domain, but just for the sake of appeasement politics, these opposition parties are coming out and they are siding with all these people who are accused of Delhi riots, of making inflammatory speeches. And the BJP also goes on to say that there has to be something in this case because at various junctures their bail has been rejected, be it from the lower court or from the High Court, and hence there is an evidence against these people that they made inflammatory speeches, they did something which led to violence in Delhi, subsequently to Delhi riots where many people lost their life, and in fact the police officials also lost their life. So the BJP says that when it comes to the nation, when it comes to the national security, internal security, politics should not be played. The judiciary is doing their work. Let the judiciary do their work, because there has to be something in this case, and that is why the bail is not being given at various junctures. So that is the main contention, Siddhant, of the BJP. And the BJP also says that this is the appeasement politics that the opposition parties have been playing for a long time, specifically the Congress, that they are putting forward the interest of these certain individuals who have been making inflammatory speeches against the country, an ecosystem who has been making such statements which are very derogatory in nature and which has led to violence just because of the sake of the politics. But what we see is a massive political fallout of what had happened yesterday in the Delhi High Court. So we have to wait and watch what exactly would be the next step, because the lawyers of the accused, the families, they have stated that they will go to the Supreme Court. But the BJP says that when at various junctures the bail has been rejected, then there is something to the case. And the BJP also says all the speeches of these individuals are there in public domain to see that how inflammatory those speeches were. Sure. And subsequently it led to riots in Delhi where many people lost their lives.
Absolutely, and all the accused have a right to exhaust their legal options. They have every right to now approach the Supreme Court since the Delhi High Court has dismissed their petitions. Many thanks, Mohit, for filling us in with all those details about the reactions that have poured in following the Delhi High Court judgment yesterday with regards to bail for Umar Khalid, Sharjeel Imam, and others. We'll slip into a short break. We'll come back with more on the other side.